Hello and welcome to Manga 96, and today we have the review of One Piece manga chapter 1042 titled Winners Shouldn't Need Rationalization. Well, what this chapter showed us is that the supposed strongest creature in the world isn't capable of winning a fight against someone close to its level without help. Jokes aside, I really wouldn't want to be in the shoes of the CP0 boss in the next chapter. Also, Drake once again showed how useless he has been throughout this whole arc so far. Now, let's save all that for later and start at the beginning of this week's chapter. On the cover this week, Owen takes the prison book to Whole Cake, with him being confused on Pudding's reaction. We also see Brûlée in the background, who will help Owen go to Whole Cake through her mirror world. Not a lot has happened in this cover, but I do wonder where exactly in the timeline this is happening right now. Going into the chapter, we start with a surprise attack from Drake, who managed to stab the CP0 boss with his sword. Where, like it was throughout this whole arc, nothing Drake does matters, as the boss manages to counterattack with a Shigan to the throw, seemingly defeating Drake once again. Apart from Drake failing once again, this scene had an interesting piece of dialogue between the two about justice, where the boss envies Drake's freedom to pursue his own justice, which could indicate that despite the CP0 being referred to as the lapdogs of the Celestial Dragons, at least some members do seem to have a own moral justice that goes against what they are ordered to do. But they comply to those orders regardlessly of their own view on them. I could see this being the seed that will cause some of, if not the whole CP0, betraying the world nobles down the line because of their own justice. Now, is Drake down for good? I don't think so, but at this point I don't see a clear role for him if he does get back up. As going by the finale of this chapter, the boss will probably get killed by Kaido in the next chapter, which leaves Drake with just one member of the CP0 who he could potentially fight, as I don't see him doing anything else apart from dealing with the CP0 in this arc. After that, we get a few panels of the Flower Capital where the citizens are ready to let the lanterns fly in the sky. Then we move to the fight between Kaido and Luffy, which will be the focus of the remainder of the chapter. We see a continuous barrage of Snake Men against Kaido, with Kaido having a really hard time dealing with Luffy's attacks. As for every attack that he manages to block, he gets hit by another 3 attacks right after. While this is going on, Kaido has an intriguing inner monologue where he questions if Robber has really the ability to change the trajectory like Luffy is showing right now in Snake Man. This too could be a further obvious hint from Oda that Luffy's fruit is not what it seems. But as much as it was hinted at in this chapter and in the last one with the Gorosei ordering a hit on Luffy, I can't shake the feeling that those are all red herrings to lure us away from the actual fruit that the Gorosei were talking about. Because it does seem, at least to me, like Oda is really trying hard to pin the Gamu Gamu fruit as the one, which makes me question this even further. Anyway, after getting pummeled some more, Kaido enters another drunken state, with this one being the most cursed one as he starts to flirt with Luffy while getting punched in the face by him. This love-drunken face of his is the most unexpected and disturbing that Kaido has gotten, as him trying to act sexy and seductive is the stuff of nightmares. Luckily, this face doesn't stay too long, as Kaido shows us that he also has the ability to see the future with his observation haki, which he uses to dodge all the attacks from Luffy in his full dragon form. Now, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Kaido has future sight, considering that he is one of the strongest beings in the world. But considering what we saw so far from him, it did seem like his observation haki wasn't on a particularly good level, considering that there isn't a character in this arc that fought him and that didn't manage to land some solid hits on him. You could always chalk this to his personality of believing to be invincible, so he let himself be hit most of the times, and didn't bother to dodge. Which is a fair assumption, but it does feel a bit jarring seeing him get hit over and over again for 60 plus chapters without him really trying to avoid it for the most part, to now being I too possess future sight and I could have dodged most of those attacks from the previous battles but I choose not to, because I'm Kaido. As I said, despite making sense why Kaido hasn't used Future Sight due to his personality, it does feel a bit unnecessary for him to showcase this power this late in the game. Anyway, what is important is that Kaido has Future Sight now, and he uses it to outmaneuver every punch that Luffy makes so he gets close to him so he could take a bite out of this rubbery body. Which he does, but he doesn't stop there, as immediately after having Luffy in his mouth, he unleashes his Boro Breath which hits Luffy point blank range without him being able to do anything. As well, this breath attack pierces Onigashima. This poor island, when true enough, it doesn't need to be blasted by its owner on top of it. Either way, this attack blasts Luffy to the bottom of the island before changing forms from Snake Man to Bound Man. So now it's confirmed that Luffy has the ability to freely change forms while he is in Gear 4 without disengaging beforehand. This is a really nice power up, as theoretically it will enable Luffy to pick and choose which form will be most suitable for any situation in battle, which will give him more flexibility in different battle situations. Sadly, we didn't get to see this courtesy of an individual from the government. Where what we did manage to see is a new attack in Bound Man, while by the looks of it, it should be stronger than the King Kong gun. With this one name being Supreme or Over Kong gun, which Luffy uses to punch Kaido in his full dragon form. But things don't go like they did with a certain Flamboyant Flamingo, as Kaido immediately counters with a new variant of his Thunder Bagua and clubbers Luffy with it. This attack is so strong that it almost deactivates Gear 4, but Luffy manages to hang on and keep the air in his body. We see that Kaido has entered a new drunken phase, with this one being potentially the most dangerous one, as is his killing spree drunk. It's Kaido's killer mode. Meanwhile, Luffy states that he doesn't have much left in his tank, so he should finish this with the next attack, if not, things could get ugly. As those two are preparing for a final epic clash which should have decided not only the fate of Wano, but the whole world, the CP0 boss shows up and decides to be a party breaker here, as he grabs Luffy's arm with which he is attacking, thereby distracting him immensely, with Kaido who can't stop his attack after noticing what is going on with Luffy. Kaido immediately gets a flashback from his fight with Oden 20 years ago, before brutally trashing the helpless Luffy with his Kanabo in an epic double-page spread where he looks just epic. Where the shock in Kaido's eye after landing this hit is something else, with him being out of him from once again being robbed from the chance of a real battle because of outside interference. With Kaido being shocked, Luffy getting knocked down, and the CP0 boss being satisfied with what he did, but also aware that Kaido will probably brutally murder him for what he did, we end this chapter. Now, is this the end? Of course it's not. Oda specifically made the parallel between Oden and Luffy clear in this chapter with what happened, with the difference being that Oden didn't stand up from the foul play, but Luffy will, and he will emerge the victor at the end. I read some theories that we will get a repeat of what happened in the Katakuri and Luffy fight, where Kaido will severely injure himself to make the playing field even once again after this cheap shot. But I don't think this will happen, as Kaido had an opportunity to do something like that 20 years ago, but he didn't, so I don't really see any real reason for him to injure himself to even the playing field. This fight has more similarities to Luffy vs Lucci than it has to Luffy vs Katakuri, so this scene reminds me of the second Rokugan that Luffy ate in that fight with him standing behind Lucci before unleashing his Jet Gatling on him. I really could see something similar play out here after this chapter. Specifically, I think that in the next chapter the CP0 boss should get brutally murdered by Kaido. After that, I do think that it's the perfect opportunity to finally get Kaido's flashback with him being in this shocked state and all. After however long Oda wants to make this flashback, I do believe that the first scene after going out of it would be Luffy standing behind Kaido like he did with Lucci, before unleashing the finishing blow. Now, this is only how I see it, that it could play out, considering that Kaido is the most emotional that we have ever seen him, which could be the perfect segue to his flashback. And then, seeing Luffy standing behind him will be the perfect way to start things off after the flashback ends. And showing that he is able to do something that even Oden himself wasn't able to do, and that to get back up after receiving a cheap shot like that would prove that Luffy is the chosen one. All in all, this was a good chapter of One Piece. It was more action oriented, so there wasn't much to talk about apart the curious conversation of justice between the CP0 boss and Drake, Kaido questioning Luffy's Delphoid power, and also what possible ramification the ending of this chapter would have. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content as well as other manga content. And until next time, take care.